the devil way down in the hole.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on 95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Welcome to Eye on Dependency, right here on I-95.5 FM, live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. Good morning, Natasha.
Good morning, Garth. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you very much for joining us once again for this annual pilgrimage, so to speak, as we await the arrival of Archbishop Jason Gordon, who will be our guest this morning to finally give us that start to the rest of the year. That we don't know how it will turn out, but all we can do is pray and hope for the best. And
I hope we could do more than that, just pray and hope for the best. Maybe he will provide us with some tangible solutions as to what we as individuals and as communities, as families, as a society can do to alleviate some of the angst that we are currently enduring.
And believe me, folks, we have a lot of angst in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know why. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't understand it. We have been trying to wrap our minds around it. And it's not the Trinidad and Tobago that I grew up in. Let me just say that. And we all must admit that, right? Time has evolved. Things have changed. You know, we started off with rotary phones, and then now we have cellular phones. But does that mean that we as a people should change as well for the worse? And why did it happen? Where something happened along the way, according to Sparrow.
Something happened along the way.
Something happened along the way. We don't know when. We don't know what was the reason. But all of a sudden, we are not family anymore. And that is scary for me. You always hear me talk about waking up and seeing neighbors and neighbors not even saying good morning. Why I always talk about that? Because it's culture shock to me. I'm seeing now children looking at adults in their face and not even saying good morning. That is culture shock to me. This is why it bothers me. I don't bring it up because I want to embarrass anybody's family or anything like that. I'm just looking at the culture shock in it. It's shocking. And today we plan to expose the Archbishop to some things. I don't know if he has social media or he follows things that goes on social media. But to show him what happened along the way. Some things have changed.
I want to believe that he probably stays clear a little bit, because I remember him making a comment about what happens online and the kind of, vitriol and ugly things that we see and people comment on. So I hope we don't shock him too much as well with what we are about to show.
Yeah, and what about the last incident, or latest one, is a fight in school between a teacher and a student. Where have we gone wrong? Then we might ask, so why the student didn't have respect for the teacher? But then we have that, but we have it with a brother from the Coast Guard commenting on it and agreeing with what he had to say. So we will share that with you this morning. However, fighting or even answering a teacher in school was a no-no. Now you could stand and throw down with a teacher. And
the teacher will throw down with you?
and that's not supposed to happen. So what happened? What happened in Trinidad and Tobago? Is it that this young man, well, from one of the reports I heard, is that both his mother and father died. And,
Okay.
and sometimes we don't know when children come to school, how they end up there.
Yeah.
You know,
what kind of home life they
exactly how they live in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of confusing. I remember, Natasha, when I was at CCT, Cheryl Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl Richardson was the program director then, and a young lady came in to the program behaving very belligerent.
Yeah.
She was arguing with everybody. She coaching the regional manager, and I mean, you coach a regional manager, you know, you for the high jump.
Right.
And they were going to send her home, and then Cheryl Richardson said, no, bring her to me. And when Cheryl Richardson spoke with her, Major Cheryl Richardson, that is, only to find out that she's living in an abusive home. She leaves home without breakfast. And that morning was even, you know, one of the mornings where she left home feeling angry and sad.
Yeah.
And when she reached to the region, all of a sudden, everything just let loose. So they were going to send her home, and when the major spoke with her, she realized, wait, there's a domino effect happening here.
Yeah.
She just didn't want to be rude, but she didn't want to see what was really affecting her, so she was a misdirected anger kind of thing.
Correct.
Is it the case with this young man?
Perhaps. Because I think a lot of us kind of try to say, well, you know, analyze the situation and say, you know, in general, like someone has commented here that, you know, the family structure is broken down. I don't believe that's it. Because a family is not necessarily child or children, mother and father in a home. A family has a much wider definition than that. And I'm sure the Archbishop could speak to that as well. A family needs, first and foremost, love, understanding, compassion, caring. Those are the elements of a family, not necessarily which gender people comprise the family. And we have a tendency not to, as you mentioned, if the persons in the family circle are not willing to ask for help if something is going on, or people know that something is happening with the family and do not intervene, that is when the problems arise. Because you can't help one member of the family without treating the entire group, as we have always said on Iron Dependency. Things like addiction, it's a family disease. It affects everyone in the home, even if it's just one person who is addicted to a substance or activity. So we're not treating with the root cause. Yes, the family structure is important for the healthy development and growth of any individual. But are we treating the symptom of this disease of, you know, crime and violence in our society?
Okay, but then again, it's a multifaceted thing.
Absolutely.
But apart from which, let's go back to how did we reach here?
Yeah.
Bandits steal from church. As an addict, I pass this church straight.
Right.
Never once in my life, as an active user of crack cocaine, ever thought about breaking into a church. Because for some reason I still had that lesson from my mother in my head. It's something that you don't interfere with. And the church is one of them. No, we have people breaking into churches. Not now, very long time ago. I cast your mind back, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and those of you just joining us, welcome to Dependency. As you know, we don't talk this much at the top, but we're just introducing what we plan to discuss with Archbishop Jason Gordon when he joins us. So there was an influx, or let's say a mass distribution of what we refer to as Zessa pills in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
I don't know if we are the only ones, and say we, Natasha and I, and me understanding how these drugs work. We thought that would have just been a phenomenon just like mud mass, and after carnival, everybody just wash off their mud and go back to normal living. These drugs don't work like that.
Correct.
So if 10 people ingested Zessa pills, bet your life, 6 out of that 10, maybe 7, will become addicted.
Yep.
And they will want it every 20 seconds. They will want it for the entire day.
Yep.
When that craving hits people, nobody is safe. Not even your mother or grandmother is safe. So when I saw that happen, I said, things are going to come down really hard on us this time. And it did. The thing is, we're still flying sort of blind because there's no data being collected
Yes.
to tell you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, what is really causing someone to rush an old lady in the road, snatch her handbag and run with it. Snatch her gold chain.
Correct.
The guy who dragged that woman down Charlotte Street to get her bag, what happened? Did he, when he was arrested, did he get a drug test to see if there was any drugs in his system? And as you said, we welcome Your Grace. Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for...
Spending your time with us this morning.
Yes, I listened to the sermon this morning.
Yes.
And
So I know where I'm coming from.
yes, I know where you're coming from.
And everybody has seen me for a long time, so everybody hold me back. Everybody have three things they want to tell me.
Yes, I
Yes,
know.
yes.
Here I am.
I know. But just to let you know that we still have the wine.
And it ain't run out.
It ain't run out.
Thank God.
It ain't running out, father.
It's 120 or 180 gallons you carry.
80. 180.
The 180?
I listened to this, and I'm saying, figuratively speaking, we still have that.
Thank God for that, eh?
You know, I don't know if it's... I shouldn't say I don't know. God put us together.
Yes.
It happened that way.
Yes.
But we will delve further into that sermon because what about when Mary asked, well, we run out of wine, you know?
Uh-huh.
And I cannot provide the wine. I cannot go out there and in the vineyard now and bring the wine home. That's where the problem lies. Because
Right.
I could keep promising Mary, listen, don't worry, we'll get some wine tomorrow. We'll get some wine. Meaning, I will go in the grocery, I will pay the bills, I will do this. There's some situations where I can't do that.
And that's where the scripture tells you what to do. Mary, go to Mary and tell her the problem. And what she tells you is, do whatever he tells you to do. So the first thing is bringing the problems to the mother. And she directs you straight to the son. And the son tells you what to do. But many times, the reason why we run out of wine is worthlessness on our part, you know. On our part, you know. Is own wayism.
Mm-hmm.
Is we right and we know what we're doing. It's ego. It's disobedience. It is us wanting to be our own man, our own woman, and is not wanting to do what he tells us to do.
Individualism.
Everything that leads to addiction. Everything. Everything that leads us to sin and a life of sin.
So Trinidad and Tobago, we ran out of wine or we still have?
You tell me now. Tell me now.
We're trying to figure this
We're
out.
trying to
Your
figure
Grace.
this out. We're just discussing this.
We're just talking about, some of the challenges, especially that young people are facing and their reluctance to ask for help and the reluctance of other people in the community to intervene and offer help. And how that is, hurting people and causing them to, lash out and those kinds of things. So how do we address the individual propensity to not reach out for help and the collective tendency to not offer help?
There was a time when a child walking down the road doing mischief. I sure you experienced that.
Plenty times.
You look like a man like that.
Yes.
And anybody in the village who's an adult, see you, could stop you. Sonny, come here. Who's your mother? Who's your father? Wait, is it? Oh, you's Mr. So-and-so son.
Yes.
Oh, Sonny, you see that? That ain't going on. And could correct you there on the spot. We've changed that now because the adults used to parent all of the children. Now, if you talk to somebody, child, both them and their parent have indignant against you. And we've changed it because we had an understanding that the whole society was a parent to all the children. But your parents had a particular understanding. Now you reach home and you tell your mother that Mr. So-and-so quarrel with you on the street. Well, try it now. Try it. You try it.
And you better tell her before Miss So-and-so tell her.
Listen.
You better take it front.
Because one set of punishment, because you must have done something wrong.
Yes.
And the second set of punishment, because you're embarrassing my household.
Yes. So is it safe to say now what was said that the village stopped raising the child because when the village had a problem with the saying, there's a saying that the village stopped raising the child when the parent had a problem with the village raising the child or something like that. And because now, my mother came in school not to beat a teacher, but to beat me.
Yes.
Now it's the reverse.
Yes. So we did something, well, and this came from Europe first and then America. In England, they will tell you the golden thread in the law is the right of the child. And it runs right through all law. Okay? Now, I understand fully well why you have to protect children in all kinds of ways. But sometimes baby and bathwater get thrown through the window at the same speed. To be able to protect children from abuse, all kinds of abuse, because some of that, what we call discipline, was abuse.
Yes.
Some of what we call discipline was actually abuse. And to protect children from that, you have to have laws. But the laws now have gone to the place where the discipline of a child has become a very, very difficult thing. And so to have a child grow up with discipline has become something that most parents are not equipped for. Now, I would tell you the old thing of spare the rod and spoil the child is a misunderstanding of Scripture. Because it was not the rod to beat, it was the rod of discipline Scripture was speaking about.
Correct.
Spare the rod of discipline and you'll spoil the child. We turned that into wallop and beat, and that was wrong. That was absolutely a misinterpretation. In fact, it was an abuse of Scripture. But at the same time, when the society, and that would be the school system, that would be the family, that would be the village, had one way of disciplining a child, and today you said, from today on, you cannot use that way. What you then do is you set the whole society into a serious problem. Because now that you can't use the only way you have, what do? Now, if it was me, I would have said, all right, in 3 years' time, we're no longer going to be using the rod. In 3 years' time. In the school, in the family, nowhere. We're not going, 3 years from now. But between now and then, we're going to teach you many different ways of doing discipline without the rod. And for now, put the rod right down on the bottom tier of the toolkit of discipline.
Last option.
Put right, because the rod was the top shelf. And
Yes.
It was on the top of the toolkit. It's the first and only instrument.
We were on the table.
But
In a corner with a bow on it.
it was a condensed milk tin.
Yes.
It was
yes.
a pot spoon that you
Correct.
stir in. It
A
was
belt.
so.
Yes.
How we didn't give the school and the parent and the society an education of discipline where we could put the rod at the bottom, because you know a carpenter's toolkit have tools on the top shelf.
Yes.
You have a
In the
second
middle.
shelf, and then you
Yeah.
have a bottom shelf.
Right.
So that's what I'm thinking. The rod should go to the bottom shelf for those 3 years. You bring it out only when all the other tools you have not working.
Not working.
And eventually in 3 years' time, you'll find you're not using that rod at all. Because you would have learned over that period of time how to do discipline without using the rod first, and how to move discipline from an anger response to a real discipline response.
Listen, Archbishop. Listen to me this morning here.
I'm listening, you know.
Listen, you hitting the nail on the head here, because you on social media. Do you frequent social media, or you
No.
type? Right.
thought so.
We thought so. But we walked with some stuff this morning to show you. One of the things you're just speaking to is a school fight between a teacher and a student. Now,
You think that could happen in my time?
well, listen to me now. Here
Yeah?
it is you. No, he was waiting with the rod at the top to deal with this child. This is what demonstrated on that video. Now, we're not showing it to embarrass the school. We just incorporated this morning to have a conversation with His Grace. Now, the TV, I was saying to Natasha just yesterday, when TV back then was, or what we knew as TV, because just yesterday a friend of mine sent me Archie Bunker, and we were looking at Bill Cosby show and all of that. Now these shows, like Bill Cosby shows and all of these, showed you how to raise the family structure.
Yes.
Right? They dealt with the family,
Yes.
how father and mother interacted. They never
Yes.
fought in front of the children.
Right.
Right? Now I am looking at television and movies where most of the children we see are depicted or play roles as very disrespectful.
To the
They
parents.
answering their parents,
Yeah.
they slamming the door on them, and I mean, I just picturing me slamming the door on my mother.
No. I sure you can't even picture that.
No.
I sure you saying that in your mouth.
And
No, but I sure you can move a mental image through your head on that.
boy, your girl, she dead, and I still afraid of doing that. She not here anymore, and I couldn't even conceive slamming the door on my mother. No, that was not going to happen. But now children are even, I'm seeing boys, well, some of them on drugs, standing and cursing their mother.
Yeah.
But I got just to stick up in with what you're saying there. I mean, I did not grow up in a household where corporal punishment was a thing. But what was it for you as a child that made you reluctant to act out in such ways?
Yeah.
What
yeah,
were you afraid of? Not the
yeah,
rod?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Ultimately,
Yeah.
in those days, your mother only had to get the eye.
The eye.
Correct.
You
Yeah,
don't
I
need
got
that more than the eye.
Yeah, the eye was crazy glue.
Yeah.
Today, you
Absolutely.
give a child the eye and they say, "Mommy, what's wrong with your eye?
Yeah.
Something wrong with your eye? Something wrong with your eye?"
Well, let me give the jokes up. He didn't give me permission to call his name, but I was speaking to a public official, and he said he went to visit a friend, a relative of his, and while he was there, somebody came to play Playway. So collected mark and play Playway. So he decided to speak to the young man because he's familiar with him and say, "Look, son, you're on drugs. You look at you. You had a bright future ahead of you. All of a sudden now, look what you reduced to. Why don't you try injecting some God?" You know, not putting word for word, but he used, try to tell him, "Look, turn to God." And you know, he asked the friend, he said, "What mark God does play for again, girl?" That's what he heard, and that was his response.
Money.
What mark God does play for?
Yes.
Okay. So you're hitting a couple of the reasons why the wine ran out. Eh?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So let's start with let's do the discipline one just a little bit more. It's discipline is not about beating. It's about helping a child to understand respect, self-respect, respect for others, and self-discipline.
Yep.
That's what it is. And when a child gets that, the child grows up and works well within society and is a contributor to society. When a child doesn't get that, then we see what happens. Okay? You remove the primary mode of discipline without a wide education on the other means that are possible. And there are many good means that are possible without a rod,
Absolutely.
Many. But we'd have needed a 3-year transition as a nation to do that well. We could have looked at England and see what happened. We could have looked at America and see what happened. And no, we couldn't do it here. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, we have to go behind the old discipline system. And we have to recognize a lot of that was trauma. Okay? A lot of it was trauma informed. Parents didn't discipline, Parents sometimes used to fly off the handle, and anything that passed, the child get in.
Yes.
That's not discipline. So I want to make a distinction between discipline, which was when your mother tell you, when your father come home, he go deal with it. Your father come home, he cool, because he wasn't in any heat of the anger, so he had no anger for it, and he hear what it is, and he give you 2 strokes of the belt, and he gone, you gone. Different from in the heat of the anger, a pot spoon connect with you, or something else connect with, that is abuse. That's violence. And what that does is it brings it traumatizes a child. We have a nation of traumatized people.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And I think, and that trauma doesn't come from the abuse there. It comes back and back and back. We know enough to know now that trauma passes through the mother to the child during pregnancy. Yes. The cortisone level of a child whose mother was highly traumatized is much higher than the cortisone level of a child whose mother was never traumatized. We have research on that now.
Yes.
Okay. So we have trauma going way back that has been passed through the bloodline, and that has created what we called a system of discipline, which was really more a system of abuse or of venting your anger on a child. And that was not. And when the whole society was raised that way, and you take that away, well, now all hell break loose. Okay? So you have a number of good things happening there. Then in the midst of that, what you raised just now, and 50 Cent said it best, get rich or die trying. When the whole society made money as the number one good and God, and everybody going for the money, then we reach to the second stage of the collapse of a society. And we have to be honest. Money became the god of this society, and everybody was going for bling. Everybody. We had enough money to be a first world nation. And people like Finland took their oil money and they invested it for their future. And they used what they had, and they kept living how they were living before. And the only thing they would invest in is things like education and social development for their people. We use the money for bling. The amount of millionaires Trinidad has produced in the last 30 years is phenomenal. Look at the cars. Look at the houses. You go into poor communities and you see 3-story houses that could be in a top neighborhood. Look and see. So that was the second malady that led us where we went. We had to go back one more step, because fueling a lot of what we have now received. In 1986, we brought a Professor Bromley to Trinidad. He was an expert on drug use in America. This was when New Life Ministries had started up.
Right.
And he ran, I think, chemical people. And when he came to Trinidad, he said, I don't want any meetings for the first 2 days. I'll meet with you on the 3rd day. And in the first 2 days, he went everywhere, through Port of Spain, wherever, I don't know where he went. And by the time the 3rd day, when we had the meeting with him, he said, I want you all to know, you have a problem here, the likes of which you do not yet understand. And mark my words, 25 years from now, you will not recognize your country.
What year was that?
1986.
When I joined Army?
82.
82. when I started my journey with drugs, 85. Didn't I say the same thing?
Yes.
When I told them that things are going to escalate to a point that we would not recognize this country because I saw it coming.
Yep.
Correct.
But the thing is, I was like a voice in the wilderness. And it hurt me even more because ask Natasha, I called Natasha from a payphone on Flatbush to tell her I want to come back home and start this radio program. From a payphone because it was on my mind. I ran from it. But I said to myself, God, you are so there. You weren't
had to do
trained to
something.
run. You were trained to stand and fight.
Yeah.
And I didn't want anybody to say that, I was unpatriotic and I turned my back on my country and all of that. So I came back home.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we waited until it started off as a kitten. Now it's a Bengal tiger. and now we're trying to tame that
We
tiger.
just call a group of tigers. Sheep is a flock. Where's a group of tigers? I don't know if it's one. I don't know if it's one tiger.
We have more than one.
Listen, it's
A
a
streak.
hydra. Huh?
A streak. It's called
streak of
a
tigers.
streak of tigers. Yes.
Well, okay, there
Or
you
is
go.
a hydra because it have multiple heads.
Yes.
Yes,
And I
yes.
said, just as you say, multiple heads, I said, is like, because notice, this fight happened in Moruga.
Wow.
When you grew up in the country,
Yeah.
you had a different attitude. For when we always said it, we compared country people to tongue people, and country people, this is where the manners stayed for a while. Now you having fights in Cedros, and you having all of these things in Rio Claro. It's like
And the- and
tentacles spread out.
And those were the civilized people. Before that's where civility and calmness
You understand?
and discipline, because everybody know you because you're in one little village and everybody know you.
When you want to get away from the malice, you go in the country.
Yes.
No country people calling us for help
Yeah.
because their children have. If you're just joining us, you fix it, Jesus. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency. And we, familiar voice in studio with us, Father Jason, Archbishop Jason Gordon, is here with us this morning. And this is the second time, we always seek His gracious presence here to help us start this journey again. So let's go to a break, and when we return, we will sort of shock his soul this morning, if that could happen.
Rock
by-
his sensibility.
Yes,
Like,
and show
give
him
a view of what's happening out there. It's not
because
pretty, but
it's not
you know.
pretty. The Hydra. That's what
Yeah.
we're going to present to him this morning. And this Hydra, now we expect the police, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, Ministry of National Security to help us fix now because we're blaming them now. Right? They
But
at
it's
fault.
us. It's
We'll
us.
have to go.
Yes.
And Heinz had to
Us.
go. And we blaming them now.
But it's us, eh?
Absolutely.
But Archbishop, it's us.
Yep.
But when the minister said that, they tarred and feathered him for saying it. Oh, all of a sudden, it's we fall down. It's us now. But he said it.
Leadership has to take responsibility,
Of course.
because we reach far. So I'm not saying that the leadership doesn't take responsibility. If a family spoil a child all through teenage years, and the child reaches 16, 17 and spoiled rotten and turning around and creating mayhem, yes, you blame the parents for what happened before. But at this stage, the child had to take some responsibility. But you go to your break.
Yes.
I don't want to distract you.
Let's go to the break. We'll be back. Stay right here. We'll be back with more with Archbishop Jason Gordon in studio with us. We'll be back.
Yes, girl. I'm here with this weirdo named Larry. I'm getting rid of him now. Let's take a selfie. It looking good, boy. I putting it online.
Hey, I thought you say you went to the beach with your parents.
Who's you?
It's me, Larry, from online.
The sex trafficking thing, that's a serious thing, you know, boy.
Sex trafficking?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was only human trafficking it have.
But what do you mean?
No serious thing, boy. Where you get that from? I don't know about human trafficking, me not about sex trafficking.
So how can you spot and identify perpetrators and children who are victims of trafficking? Many victims who are children do not look like under 18 years old. Child victims often move escorted around alone or in small groups. They also live in shared and even packed rooms and have very little clothing and belongings. Child victims are often seen with adults who are not their parents, their relatives, or their caregivers. Migrant children are often unaccompanied and separated from their parents. Child victims are often engaged in work that is not suitable for children. They are often deprived of their freedom to go to school, to play, and to enjoy being a child. Perpetrators have unexplained sources of income and possessions. They are businessmen and businesswomen running legitimate and illegitimate businesses. Perpetrators may appear to be the victim's friend, boyfriend, close relative, or employer.
We are the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Do you want to support our work at Eye on Dependency? Here are 3 ways to do so. You can make a donation to the Eye on Dependency account at Republic Bank. You can follow the Eye on Dependency page on Facebook. You can subscribe to the Eye on Dependency channel on YouTube. Liking, commenting, and sharing the live on a Sunday also helps. Thanks in advance for your support.
Stand by. Thank you for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency. We are blessed and extremely highly favored this morning. We have Archbishop Charles Jason Gordon in studio with us, and we're talking about Trinidad and Tobago and how the society has changed and what we as citizens have contributed to where we are today and how we can resolve it. Garth, you were talking about something before we went to the break.
Yes, so I wanted the Archbishop, before we go to the line up video A, short man, but you said the person who observed Trinidad. Can you repeat that for those who are just joining us?
Dr. Bromley.
Right.
Was brought into Trinidad and Tobago by New Life Ministries. And when he walked through the streets of Trinidad and Tobago back in 1986, after 2 days of just walking and looking and listening and observing, he said, "You will not recognize Trinidad and Tobago in 25 years. And when pressed on to why, he said, there is a use of cocaine in Trinidad that we have not seen in Americas yet. What we call crack cocaine, America hadn't seen. And he said that is far more potent and addictive than anything that America is using at that time. So cocaine was cheaper, more available, and used more directly, affecting the whole system than anything that America saw at that stage. And he said, you're not going to recognize the country. Check 25 years from 1986. You come up to 86, 96, 2008. And what was the murder rate in 2008? By 2004, the murder rate was climbing.
Yeah.
By 2008, the murder rate had gone to crazy.
And
now in 2025, we are dealing with not just crack cocaine, but a plethora.
All the new drugs.
All
the synthetics.
New psychoactive substances.
Correct.
That the kids are being fed with.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's excuse me.
But the fact is, we need leadership to turn this around. Okay? We can't dodge that fact at all. If a family has children that have gone bad because they have been allowed to get away with murder from the time they were little children, only thing to turn it around is leadership. Somebody had to step up to the plate and start to put the boundaries back in place.
So what about if the person, I'm not capable, but for me, is when I sat in prison for 6 months, I felt a
You
sense.
start by telling me the wine ain't run out. You're now telling me the wine run out and you got refilled.
When I was talking about the wine in the marriage,
But that's when you get refilled.
Yes, that's when I got refilled.
After you got refilled, now the wine ain't run out because
Right.
it run out already and it got refilled.
Yes.
Okay, let me go again.
Because my mother left a space for it to be. Because when I was in prison, I was looking at myself and saying, I embarrassed my entire family. I embarrassed my colleagues. I embarrassed the regiment. Because I was one of the first set of sailors and soldiers who were discharged, and some of us ended up in prison. Some died, right? But there was a whole lot of guilt and shame around me for what I did and the wrong choices that I made. So, you talk about train up a child?
Yes.
I kept that. So when I left prison, I say, I'm not going back. And that's how I started my climb. But what about those who don't have the tools? We were just speaking about tools. What about those who weren't prepared for when they fall to use those tools to help them rebuild or refill the wine?
The shame associated with addiction in and of itself, a lot of people don't have the capacity to rise above that.
A couple, on the 7th of January, the Holy Father appointed me to be administrator for the Diocese of Curacao.
Yes, we heard that, and congratulations.
So I did a visit of Curacao, Aruba and Bonaire. Bonaire, the Dutch took it over, and is now a Dutch state. The Bonaire residents tended to be poor and also tended to have the social problems. The response of the Dutch government was to have a big investment into schools and start education from zero and run it right up, and to have after-school programs for any child who doesn't have parental supervision after school. That was the first response. Okay? That's the first response. What we're facing in Trinidad and Tobago is a developmental problem. It's a problem of human development, or a problem of inadequate or bad human development. That's what we're facing first and foremost. And if you understand that as the problem, the solution is not building more jails. That will clean up the streets immediately, but it doesn't solve the problem because you're only dealing with the symptom. You have to deal with the symptom, but you have to solve the problem. The problem is inadequate human development in many of the poor urban communities and in many of the poor communities in central Trinidad and in coastal and deep south and deep east. We have pockets of serious underdevelopment, and unless we are willing to spend money not in fixing education, but in seeing education as a tool of development for the child to become the best version of themselves, until we see education not as a certification that I come out with my passes and then I nothing I could do because I'm still illiterate and I still have no discipline. Unless we see the education as development, we're not going to move this country forward. We have to have all hands on deck with education in this country for at least 10 years to start turning the ship around and starting moving to the best techniques of development, the best techniques and best ways of bringing children to grow and become the best, where self-discipline and a person who wants to learn becomes the product of your education. That's a major mind shift,
And we have the ability to do it too, Your Grace. We have the creativity, we have the intellect, we have the ability to make that kind of change. Trinidad and Tobago has produced extraordinary citizens.
You go anywhere in the world and you will find a Trinidadian, a Tobagonian at the top of the tier in whatever discipline you want to look at.
Yes.
Whether it's running Howard University or in NASA, everywhere you go. So we don't have lack of talent. We have a lack of vision. And we have to change the vision. For 20, 25 years, the vision was get rich or die trying. There's a question I want to ask everybody when you're making big public decisions. How make a decision that your child and your grandchild would want to stay in Trinidad and Tobago? That's my criteria now. Because we've been making decisions for me to get rich in my generation and pass the money on to the children, but then the children are completely spoiled because you're giving them too much. What are the decisions how do we make decisions so our children and grandchildren would want to stay in this place? That moves to an intergenerational.
And not have that plan that as soon as I get a visa, I go on.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have a brain drain because all the brightest and the best leave us and go, and we keep producing bright children, but they don't contribute to turning us around. How do we become a nation so that our children and grandchildren will want to stay? And that starts with how we educate. That starts with how we discipline. That starts with how we create a safe environment. Most children leave because their parents afraid for their safety.
Absolutely.
The state of insecurity is a high cost.
Well, we have a video with a mother speaking about a situation with her son, so we should have. So, man, let's go to video A. And Your Grace, hold on to your seat. And
hold on to my seat.
Hold on to your seat.
I hope you hold on to your seat after.
Yes. Let's go to this one. Video A, Shorman. Let's look at this.
This is just a short clip of the fight itself, and then the creator of the video is giving some commentary on what we just saw.
He's a member of the Coast Guard. Hear his take on what really happened. Your Grace, you will tell me if he's correct. Let's go to it.
That incident between the teacher and that student is very unfortunate, right? And as much as we can't clearly see who is wrong, it looks like the teacher is wrong. We don't know what happened before. And even if the teacher was physically assaulted before, there's a gap between that assault and him responding. So the teacher, as the adult, he will be wrong, right? What he's supposed to do is go and make a report to his principal and by extension the police, right? So I can't condone that behavior as an adult, but we are all humans, and as humans we all make mistakes, right? And then as it speaks to the student population, I know Trinidad and Tobago have a way we like to exaggerate the behaviors that we see now on social media, like it never used to go on in school before, like back in the days, we never used to disrespect teachers or get in altercation with teachers. It could be more rampant now, as in more students are doing it now compared to before. But this is behaviors that always used to happen in school, right? But one of the things, as a child and youth counselor, right, and as someone who spent over a decade dealing with youths of various natures, parents, teachers, persons in authority tend to get in conflict with youths when they have not harnessed their communication skills. That is one. Two, they have not developed their influence over their population, right? When I say the child population, whoever they're in charge of, and they have not built a strong relationship with them, you are more at risk to end up in these sort of conflicts with children. If one, you're not a skilled communicator, you don't build a strong relationship with the children, and you're not skillful enough to influence their behavior, right? This takes training. I'm not sure what sort of training the teachers have. I know they have class control and that sort of training, but it goes beyond that, right? It is a skill and a particular training. Training always has to be updated because behavioral change, society change, right? So teachers, all those who in charge of children, just focus on these three things: build strong relationship with your children, develop your communication skills, and develop your ability to influence them. And what happened to this teacher here is least likely to happen, or less likely to happen, right, within your environment. Tough mental out. Greetings.
Your Grace, you heard what he said.
Yes.
Do you agree?
I agree with him. Because if that teacher had a strong relationship with his children, the other children would have intervened early.
Yes.
And protected him.
And protected him.
Right.
And if he had a strong relationship with the children, he'd have been able to call that child back to sense. But the second thing he said is what we've been talking about. You can't take away the one means of discipline that a nation knew without replacing it with better and more effective tools. And that's the piece that we miss, you know. We didn't do that, and that should have been a national campaign on television and radio and newspaper for 3 years until the whole nation has a set of tools to deal with it. But the third thing he said, you know, it reminds me of a story when I was in Gonzales and I worked with the gangs, and we had had a meeting with 4 of the major gang leaders, and we came to an agreement of a ceasefire. And with that ceasefire, you know, the violence just dropped straight down. And they said, well, we have peace. I said, this is not peace. We gone from red to amber. Everybody hold your corner, because I don't want nobody triggering nobody. Hold your corner. And in the midst of that, one of the lieutenants was doing a job up on top of Gonzales. And the lieutenant from below, when he saw him, he started jumping him. And then this thing went on and on, back and forth, back and forth. And one day, one of them took out a gun and fired off the gun. When I saw the guy call him, I said, come here. Your boss say that we not having no gunfire in this community. All the bosses agree. I agreed. And you violated all of us. Why? So I pushed hard on him. He said, well, I had to let him know. I said, you had to let him know what? He said, well, no, I'm not a little boy, I'm a big man. I had to communicate. I said, wait. You fired a gun to send a message. He said, I said, hold on. You fired off your gun to send a message.
Yes.
He said, yes. I said, now, how else could we have communicated without the gun? And I broke communication down for them. And then they used to send the message through me. And I would relay the message. And until one day, the two of them met and spoke and had a truce, and that's when real peace came into the community.
Right.
We use the whip, the belt, the condensed milk tin, the pot spoon, and the gun to send a message. Because we do not have the literacy to communicate the feelings that we have. And that's where he's right.
You know, as he said that, I remember I want to include the cocaine box.
Yes.
My mother hit me with a, stay by the kitchen and hit me by the front door with an empty cocaine box. And she could have pelt. I know a long time.
Mango would have fall.
I know a long time old people used to pelt so straight, but you could have pelt. If you're just joining us, you listen to Dependency, and we are having a conversation this morning with Archbishop Jason Gordon. Let's go to another mother now, and here's what, listen to another side of this story. Let's go to video B short, man. And here's what her experience. We wouldn't play the entire thing because it's 9 minutes, but we could play a few minutes of it and let your grace analyze where this mother was coming from and what could have happened better here from the institution itself responding to her, including the
Yes.
police.
And she also mentioned the rod, by the way. That was the one part in the video that I kind of strayed from her. But she raised a very good point about not only the responsibility of the school in addressing the issue, but also the parents of the offending child and their responsibility to the school and to the child that was hurt, or children that were hurt.
Good morning to Leon and Major Jack, Patricia. Those of you on YouTube, remember, if you're new to the channel, please remember to like and subscribe. Those of you on Facebook, please do the same thing. Short man, let's go to the video. Here's what this mother had to say.
So as we wait for short man to pull up that video, it is a long one, so maybe it's taking a little while to load. I remind you, those of you on Facebook and on YouTube, please like the live. It's free 99, costs nothing, but it really does help us stay on the air. So drop a like if you're on the live on Facebook or YouTube.
And we're having a discussion with Archbishop Jason Gordon here this morning. After we finish this part of it, we'll open the lines, take your calls. And before His Grace departs, please to say a prayer. We ask him to say a prayer for us, say a prayer for Trinidad and Tobago. Let's see if we could start this journey 2025 on a different note and have different responses and, of course, results.
So it's video
Short man,
B,
ready?
short man, yes.
Right.
Trinidad and Tobago, whole day I asking myself a question, where we going as a nation? Because right now I'm wondering what is really taking place, because the madness continuing. My son went to school Monday morning, right? And apparently there are people who don't feel it too early near to start with the foolishness. So he and his friends wanted to get something in the cafeteria. So instead of all three of them going to the line, one decided that he would go for everybody, which means he would have had 3 sets of money. And some little miscreant, right, decided that he would run up to him and snatch the money out of his hand. They went and they made a report to the dean of the school, and the dean went to talk to the guys and them. And instead of resolving the issue, it was left, right? But before that, I called the school. Before resolving the issue, it was left. And the boys decided that the fella have a team, and he and his team was going to gang up after school and beat my son and his friends. Well, I got the message on work. And I called the school and I informed them of what was taking place. And hats off to the principal, I must say, for calling the police. But like after they called the police, like everything else went out the window. Because before the police even reaching school, school was out, right? Which means school bell ring. And the boys were allowed to leave the compound. And I don't know if people understand that when you leave the compound, all bets are off. Right? Because they could do whatever they want to do with the money because they're outside the school compound. Ain't no way they're getting back this money. Right? Suffice it to say, the situation escalated because my older son, he went up to the school because he had to make sure that his brother was safe. Right? And I'm not giving him wrong for that. And I couldn't leave work, so I sent somebody to pick them up. And instead of the police look for the fellas and them, they decided to stop my son because he looked like if he wanted to start something. Of course he was looking upset. But instead of the look for the people, the perpetrators of the crime, because stealing is a crime, it's against the law. And apparently, we reach a place that we don't understand these things again, that the law gone out the window. Anyhow, whatever it has happened, and the situation was what it was, everybody went home, my son reached home safe. This morning I went in school. Went in school to ask some pertinent questions that nobody could even answer. Question number 1. why weren't the boys searched to find out who have the money? Because apparently the one who take the money was sharing it. Because that's his own. Because his parents work for that. Right? Secondly, nobody asked the children and them, because it was 3 of them, if they have money to reach home. So nobody cared if they got home safely. Nobody, no teacher, nobody, no adult in the school didn't ask them how they reaching home. Because I didn't get a call from the school. And the other parents didn't get a call from the school neither. So they didn't even call the parents to inform them what was taking place so that we could come and pick up our children from the school. Because obviously they wouldn't have any money to travel because their money was stolen. Right? Thirdly, if they call the police, why wasn't the children kept back in the office until the police reached for the police to speak with them and resolve the issue? That wasn't done. Because when you leave that school gate, all bets are off. And I don't think people understand that. And guess what? These educated adults couldn't even answer my questions.
It's happening to him this morning.
But the
You
children
listen to
wrote
this
a
mother.
report the
What do
day
you think?
before. Right? And the report was
I am in
taken.
shock that an incident can happen where students can take money from other students. The first thing you do is you bring everybody into a room.
Correct.
And the next thing you do you have witnesses? You bring the witnesses. And by the time you have 3 witnesses say, yes, he took the money from this boy. How much money was it? And you establish that. You then say to him, you have to pay back that money now. Nobody leaves school until that money is paid back.
Right. And call their parents too.
There and then.
Right.
And you call their parents in
Yeah.
and say, this is what your son has done. You call the police in. And you say to them, if the money is not paid back, if these guys don't get back their money within half an hour, I'm calling the police for you, and the police will charge you for theft.
Right.
Yes.
So you have an option. Either you pay them back or you get a charge. Now, that doesn't need a rod. It doesn't need a belt. It don't need licks. It just needs common sense and straightforward discipline. And when a child is allowed to steal money and get away with it and leave the school with the money, you know, as the lady say, all bets are off for discipline in that school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you have learned that you can do wrong and crime does pay.
And as my mother used to say, you steal $1 and get away with it, you will steal 10 eventually, it'll go to 100, and pretty soon these young men could end up in the hands of the police.
Crime does pay.
Right.
Because there are no consequences for crime. Look, think about it. I want you to do a research. How many of the 600 and how many murders we had last year, how many people got charged for those murders? Just you do that research now. No. That's what nobody's asking.
Yeah.
Bring back, hang them high.
Yes.
But how many people have even been charged for these 600 murders? It used to be about 10%. Used to be. And of the 10% charge, it used to be about 10% convicted. Okay? So it's 1% of the people who commit murder had a penalty. Now, if you move that from 1% to 85% of the people who commit murder have a penalty against them, murder rate will drop. If, as in a school, a child steals money from another child and there's an immediate penalty against that child, stealing in that school and bullying in that school will stop.
Now, let me put this in here now. There are a number of young men going to school already involved in gang activity.
Yes.
Is it that the principal and other staff members are afraid because of these young men? Probably some of them, 1 or 2 maybe belong to 6 or 7, and they know once they go after them, then they will bring their colleagues and friends to come after the teachers, and maybe the teachers thinking about self-preservation. Could it be that?
because we've allowed it to get too far. Do they have laws in this country against belonging to a gang?
Yes.
Oh, no, wait, serious? No, wait, hold on.
We do.
No. I just checking on all, you know.
Yes,
We
yes,
have laws. I remember somewhere vaguely they passed laws against belonging to a gang.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how is it possible that you know you have a child in your school belonging to a gang and we're not using the law? Why? Tell me why.
Because I'm minor, probably.
If it's against the law, it's against the law.
Right.
We have a juvenile detention center, you know. Okay? We don't need new laws, you know. We need to start using discipline consistently right through the society, top to bottom, in and out.
Now, Senator Thompson, are you listening to you? And she said, "Now listen to this carefully." On New Year's morning, I attended the 8 a.m. mass in my parish. During his homily, the priest mentioned child rights. It was music to my ears. I thought I was in for a treat. Glory, hallelujah. My joy was short-lived, however, for as the homily continued, I became increasingly concerned about the message being conveyed. The priest expressed his view that the reason for so much crime in society was that children were not being corrected, as was done long ago. He blamed child rights advocates for that situation.
Okay.
He spoke of a child in the U.S. who had called the protective services and had his grandmother arrested for beating him.
Wow.
He advocated a return to the good old days when children were flogged and became law-abiding members of society.
Flogged. I mean, oh, wow.
Okay. I was with you up until the 99th moment. Okay. Now I said that here, but you always hold two things together.
Mm-hmm.
Just as I said that in England, the rights of the child is the golden thread of the law.
Right.
I also said that you can't change that law without training people how to use discipline in a new way. We throw out baby and bathwater. And when granny does not know anything else but beating a child, and nobody helped granny to find other methods of discipline, granny either has to hold her hand and let the child do what he wants, or give him a lash and go to jail.
Yeah.
There's an in-between space. And that's the space I'm speaking to. That we need a national campaign of discipline and teaching discipline to parents, to schools, to educators, to everybody. It has nothing to do with a rod. Nothing to do with beating, nothing to do with anger, nothing to do with venting on a child. In fact, and that's why I use the example of the young man in the community when he said he fired the gun to send a message.
Right.
He was communicating using the gun because he didn't have words and actions without the gun.
As Sparrow said in his calypso, where something happened along the way where intellect cannot resolve an issue.
Correct.
It's madness.
Yes.
That's what the result will be.
Correct.
Madness.
Correct.
So if you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are having a candid conversation here with Archbishop Jason Gordon. Shortman, go to image C for me. And Natasha made an observation in this picture here.
Yes.
Where we have children, young men.
Young men. And the first thing I saw when I saw this picture was the expression on the young man's face. Huh?
It will come up on the big screen in a minute.
He is looking as if he is contemplating all of his life choices in this very moment.
Yes. Now, this was that broke in the news this week where police, being very observant, stopped a car for his stint, and look at it. And on search of the car, they found this amount of drugs.
Wow.
Now, we congratulate the police for their keen sense of observation here.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And police really don't get kudos enough for some of this kind of work that they do.
Correct.
Look at this. Look at the hall. But look at the look on the young man's face.
Mm-hmm. And he's studying who are going to call when I end up in the police station. Who am I going to call? How am I getting myself out of this? Why did I? He is contemplating his life choices.
Yeah.
And it is so stark to me. It was just a realization that he had no idea what he was getting himself into.
I don't know that he had no idea.
Well,
I don't know that he had no. Come on.
Yes.
If you're more than 3 years old, you have an idea. Okay, come on.
Exactly.
Come on. Now, I'm not going so far as to say he had no idea.
Yeah.
But what I was saying
consequences.
is he had not learned from young that actions have consequences.
Yes.
Actions have consequences. If from young you learn that, by the time you reach to this age, you would understand that actions have consequences. And if I'm going to break the law, they have consequences for that. You would understand that by this age.
Yes.
And it is a lack of, you see, discipline has to be immediate. It has to be effective. It has to be non-angry. It can't be violence. It can't be out of your anger. It has to be calm, cool, and collective. But it has to constantly reinforce one theme. Actions have consequences, and you have a responsibility to yourself, to your family, and to your society for all your actions.
Your Grace, well,
And
look
that
at
has
this.
to be consistent.
Well, look at this. Go to image D. We go to a younger age now. Now, I don't know if you remember that story about the first murder in Tobago.
Yes.
Right. When I saw that video, there was a minor filming it and a minor carrying this minor to his death.
To his death.
Yes. And Shortman, go to the image, please. That's image D. Look at this. This he was actually. This is the young man that got killed. No, we didn't
this
want.
is the one who was arrested.
No, this is the one who was
This
killed.
is the one who was killed?
Yeah, remember he was Signal Hill, a student of Signal Hill.
Okay.
Right? But they said that's when the police broke the news to us that children as young as 12 now are made gang members.
Yes.
But what was stark to me in the video, Your Grace, is the fact that a young man at his age bodily lifting because he was hogtied on his way to his death. So this is even a younger generation now. So we just looked at the generation after them. Now we're looking at the one before them. You see the amount of pressure we under here?
Many years ago, I looked at a movie. I think it's Children of God was the name of it. It was about gang life in Brazil. That, I looked at that when I was in Gonzales. And that got me more scared than the gang leaders we had. It was when the children who grew up in the community with gangs, from the time they were born, gangs was existing in the community.
Right.
By the time they reached to 14 and 15, they were merciless, they had no thinking, and they were ruthless. And they took out the older ones, and they had a reign of terror that was unlike anything, because the older ones always had a conscience.
Right.
That next generation who grew up in it had nothing outside of a gang life. And therefore they had no conscience and spared no one. And when you get that happening, now, so we have a law against being in a gang. Okay? Walk with me. You know that gangs are recruiting 12 and 13-year-olds. Correct? Wouldn't you think that that's enough to put the gang leader behind bars?
Correct.
Isn't that enough evidence?
Because he's using a minor.
Isn't that because that is abuse? And you don't need to charge him for anything else but being in a gang, you know. Okay? You're not charging him for murder. You're not charging him for guns. You're charging him for being in a gang because he's recruiting children to the gang. They must have a way to stop it. It's not about more laws. It's just like discipline at home. When discipline is consistent, when it's applied fairly, when it's applied evenly and consistently, you grow up and you understand consequences. When it's not happening, you grow up spoiled and you do what you want to do. Mash up the place. We have to bring back consistent discipline in all sectors of our society.
So then this is something close to home. Go to image E for Archbishop to see this one here. And we were talking about that this morning. But Shortman, go to image E, and I wouldn't say anything until it comes up.
Well,
no, but
that-
it goes back, what you're saying, Your Grace, goes back to the whole concept of rights of the child, because we have to, as a society, agree that children are
to be protected.
have to be
Have
protected,
to be protected.
because they're vulnerable by virtue of the fact that they're children.
And taking a child into a gang is
Has
an
to be,
abuse.
has to be. It has
Now
to
look
be.
at the headline here.
Leaving the leaves.
Bandit steals Christmas bags from church.
Wow.
You see, this when we reach to the point where we don't even respect the church, and this is not the first time we've heard these stories, right?
No.
How do you feel? But you have not given up. You still have a sense of hope for this society. But Archbishop, you hearing people breaking into a church, a sanctuary that was safe from everybody. Everybody respected. That line is crossed.
You know, we used to leave our churches open, you know. Now we have to lock the church.
Are you kidding?
Yes, but
But
guys,
our
you remember?
churches used to be open.
Yes.
A sanctuary. A church was a sanctuary. Everybody knew. You could be an atheist, you still knew the church was a sanctuary. You don't
Right.
go in there, you don't mess in there.
Right.
It used to be.
Everybody understand that.
Used to
and you
be.
could go into the church and create sanctuary. In the Middle Ages, if somebody went into the church, the law couldn't touch them. They went in and they called sanctuary.
Right.
A
Because
place
the
of
church was a
refuge.
neutral place where the law, the government, no one would bring violence inside of a church. But also the thief understood the church as sanctuary too, off limits. When you lose a sense of the sacred, which is the other piece that caps all of the other conversations we have had, when you lose a sense of the sacred and a sense of a God and a sense of who the creator is and what the creator has given to us, when that is gone, and then the church is fair game, the old person is fair game, and the child is fair game,
Yeah.
then you enter a collapse.
No, Natasha, remember?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I was organizing the funeral of my sister the other day, so we had it at the cathedral.
sympathies.
Thank you. And Father Sergio told me that we have to be very careful with collection because we've had incidences of persons stealing from the collection during Mass. And I was horrified.
But not only that, Your Grace, I went to Mount St. Benedict. Now, you know Mount St. Benedict is that sanctuary where
That is a
everybody
sanctuary.
go. Right.
Yes.
You know what I observed? Going into the washroom, and there's burglar proof around the soap dispenser.
Yes.
Now, I'm saying,
Imagine
wait,
that.
hold on a second, hold on. This is Mount
People
St.
going with the
Benedict.
soap.
You're going to tell me that they have to build a burglar proof around the soap dispenser. So people going up there to pray for salvation and thieving the people's soap?
You, listen,
What you telling me? What?
they used to thief toilet paper. You now have to have special dispensers for toilet paper because if you have the normal roll, they will thief the roll and go with it.
In church.
Ay. Well,
Okay?
rich.
So we have come to a place. Come to a place back through my circle again. Once you make money, the highest good, then any way to get there is okay. Then stealing and corruption becomes part and parcel of the normal activities of the day.
Right.
Okay. To move away from that, we have to start bringing the temperature of discipline up in the society, across the whole society. We need to have a national campaign of discipline where everyone brings their voice to that discipline.
Go to image F short, man. The Minister of National Security voiced concern about the people we have or we are getting to recruit, Your Worship. I see Your Worship, Your Grace,
Police
sorry.
or-
Yes.
Police, Army, Coast Guard.
Police. But he was referring to the police because the question was asked of him. Now, look at this news report here. Police officer charged for robbery. Now you can imagine, and you know, look at that headline here.
Wow.
Your Grace. Police officer charged with firearm and robbery offences. Now we know for most police officers it's not a happy thing for them to charge a colleague wearing a uniform
Yeah.
for a crime. Now, if this is part of our society that we have to deal with, because the minister voiced the concern about the quality of applicants for recruitment.
Yeah.
How you feel about this? Even at our police service level.
Yeah.
The ones who are supposed to be protecting and serving us will come and rob you in the night. Some of them.
Listen, when you have a fish bowl and the water is polluted, what happens?
The fish get polluted.
Okay. So we could talk about the one fish, or we could start cleaning up the water
Mm-hmm.
and moving the fish back to health. Yeah? We have a societal problem. And the societal problem is even bigger. Because we have a old saying, when America sneezes, the Caribbean get pneumonia.
Yes.
We are in the last phase of American civilization. Okay? We had, in the 1300s, we had Venetian civilization. It moved to Dutch in the 1600s. It moved to British in the 1800s. It moved to American in the 1900s. Okay? And at the end of each civilization, there was a collapse. When the Greek civilization ended, when Roman civilization ended, there was a collapse. And what we've seen is a collapse in so many different ways. And we have to start recognizing that this is a Trinidad and Tobago problem. This is a Western civilization problem. You know, if you go to India and Africa, people have great respect for God and love and the love of God, regardless of religion, you know. It's only in the West that you have the kind of disdain for God and for the Creator that we have. That's at the end of a civilization. That happens. People think that we're so good and we're so wonderful that we could do without God. So you have to see the picture now in its broadest sense. And that's why, for me, this is the time when we have to teach people the love of God. And come back to the wine. And the wine running out.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do what he tells you. The first thing you have to go to is obedience to the will of God. Not liking God because God is a sugar daddy. Obedience to the will of God. You have to do what he tells you. And for all of us, that means stopping the way that we are doing what we want to do, how we want and when we want, and doing what he is asking of us. And we know what that means. But that's a conversion of heart. Bend my heart to your will, O God. That's a conversion of heart.
We have one more to show you, Your Grace. Tell us what you think about. Let's go to image G. Tell us what you think about this, Your Grace. How you feel about the fireworks? Are you any suggestion on your part of how we could go about it?
No, it really is, offensive.
Look at this.
In the worst
A
way.
spent firearm projectile came to someone's roof earlier night.
Wow.
After holiday fireworks. Now, I always tell people, when you fire a weapon, the projectile travels until it hits and stops.
Correct.
Look at this. This came to the person's ceiling. Now, if that person was under that, they could have been dead.
Correct.
Because the force that is released with is the same force when it goes up and it comes down.
Yeah.
Good. How do you feel about this fireworks thing, and what suggestions would you have?
I don't know. Is it legal to set off fireworks in Trinidad and Tobago?
No, it is not.
According to the
certain
ordinance?
circumstances, it is not. There are very special circumstances under which fireworks can be destroyed.
And it requires clear protection. You must have the fire brigade present.
Yes.
There are a number of different things.
Yes, correct.
So ask me a question. No answer to this question. How is it possible that people could have a business selling fireworks
to normal citizens,
to ordinary citizens in a country where that is not supposed to be allowed? Unless I don't understand the law, but you help me. I don't know. You help me.
We try, but we asking you for help. You asking me for help. What's going on with you here this morning?
It is confounding. It really is. It's,
No, but I'm trying to show you all we need to do is live with the law. That's I'm
That
not
is
saying
discipline.
to solve the problem is not some fairy godmother coming from somewhere. The day we became independent, England left us. They're not coming back to solve our problem.
Correct.
We have this space called Trinidad and Tobago. These two rocks is ours. And we have to manage them. And this is where I come back again to leadership.
But how to make money, Your Grace?
Well, come back to leadership. Is it legal to have fireworks? Is it legal to use fireworks? Then pass a law saying it's not legal to sell it unless people have a license. Just like you can't sell alcohol unless you have a license to the public. You can't sell alcohol to the public unless you have a license. Put a law in that you can't sell fireworks. And I'm just using this as one example of where there are laws that are not being used and problems that emerge out of that. You know, many dogs go crazy because in every neighborhood, these fireworks are going. I know people have to put sedative to the dog.
Yeah.
Yes.
On Holy
That's to
Night
tranquilize
early.
them. Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, they just go crazy and run away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And the thing is, you cannot identify now gunshot from fireworks. And this is the problem, you know. But if you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency. We're going to open up the lines after this break. You have, yes.
11:30.
You have, okay.
All right.
So so we can take a couple calls before you go. Let's take a couple calls for His Grace before he leaves because he has to leave. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
After this break,
You have to
Turn off your radio first, please.
turn off your radio or your computer, whatever it is on. We
All right,
have
good.
a few seconds.
Right, it's off. It's off now.
Go ahead
All right,
quickly.
go ahead.
Hello, good morning, God, Natasha, and Archbishop.
Good morning.
Right, let me first say how excited I am about the conversation. I am trying to find out, God, how you all could sustain this kind of conversation because, to my mind, it is what is necessary. In a degenerating society, we need a mind shift or a shift of mindset that will inform our attitude to life, our understanding. I always laud my own upbringing in McHale and Tobago, a place where I learned the fear and adoration of our Creator God, respect for people, and all those things of good character. Sadly, having lived these 7 decades plus of life, I'm realizing that we have not zoned in on the value of the gift of life and our responsibility in living it. And until we could find that space where we could convert discussion and conversations like this into meaningful action, the human will to change, then unfortunately, we're going to continue this slide into what I call the abyss of nothingness. It's very unfortunate. I want to congratulate the Archbishop for his pragmatism and the simple ways in which he has explained everything. I put a note on the YouTube that money story, quote unquote, is really gospel. Our lean into that as the mainstay of our life.
But thank you.
Let's keep it up. Thank you all for this very pleasing conversation this morning.
Thank you very much, Major.
Thank
Your Grace, I must admit you very, very. Our family welcomed you this morning. From the responses we've seen, we need you more on air. And we know you have, but on this, let's take one more favor, and because we know you have to go, right? So
Good morning.
now you always on the move in the last time you're here, you were on the move. This time, where you going this time? East, west, north, or south?
I'll go in north and then south.
Wow. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, God. Good morning, Natasha. And good morning, Father. I'm speaking kind of fast now because at least I want somebody else to get a chance to call in. Now, so this is his scenario. You have a walk over 50 meters away, but some of us will run across the street. And we're doing it fast because we know it's a dangerous thing. We're taking a chance. Another person will cross the street. Take his time. Look at you with the kind of bounceman attitude, right? If those same two people put them on Empire Boulevard in New York or Utica Avenue and tell them cross the road the same way, what do you think would happen?
No. I always use that example.
And why would they not do it?
Because they are.
Father, you've been using some words this morning, eh? And that's the answer, no, consequence.
Yes.
You will get charged for that out there.
Let me leave you with this question. The person who lived, does that person have more right than the person whose life was taken from them? Because all we hear is the rights of the accuser, but what about the persons whose rights was taken away from them? It's only two circumstances under which you could take life. When the law says so, or by self-defense. So here it is, the example you gave by the man in Gonzales who shoot at the next man to say, hey, I want to send a message. What would make him think a million times? So because now I have more to shoot it. And that is the answer to everything, Father. We suffer no consequence because the issue, that is all the human being understands. Consequence, unfortunately.
All right, caller. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So let's go to a break and we'll come back with more of your calls. Stay right there.
Ah, boy. I feel like I'm gonna buy myself a senorita tonight.
Nah. You know you might be promoting slavery.
Slavery? What you talking about?
Hey, modern day slavery or human trafficking is just what some of these people just do. You know some of these women were tricked to come here? Some are held against their will, abused, and even beaten. Most times the girls don't even see any of the money that is paid for them. And every night, they just have to come out looking nice and sexy for somebody like you. Human trafficking is a serious problem and a serious crime. Persons who solicit commercial sex services may be contributing to human trafficking. A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Morning. Listen now. Has noticed something about them new people and them up the road there. Where's that? Girl, the man that he passing up and down in front of here with a set of woman.
I really noticed some woman living there, you know. And they can't even say as much as good morning.
Well, listen now. I wonder if it's human trafficking. You think it's that?
So, how can you spot and identify perpetrators and victims of trafficking? Many victims are found living and working together in the same place and sleep in shared and inappropriate spaces. Victims work excessively long hours. They often sleep in the daytime and work long nights. They are often escorted everywhere they go and may appear to be malnourished. They may show signs of physical abuse, drug and alcohol use, and may also appear withdrawn, fearful, or intimidated. Victims who are migrants are often not in possession of their identity or immigration documents and have irregular immigration status. Perpetrators can be male or female and may appear to be managing or controlling the victims. And they may even at times appear to be the victim's best friend, boyfriend, or employer.
We are the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
Right, so we continue with our call.
Do you want to support our work at Ion Dependency?
Oh, no, sorry.
Here are 3 ways.
Let's go.
Right, we're back. Thank you for staying with us. The Archbishop has left us, unfortunately. He had other responsibilities, but we are so grateful for the hour and a half that he did spend with us. A lot of...
He'll be listening to you in the car, though, so you can still address him.
So yes, really good conversation.
But let's hear your thoughts on the conversation. 622-3937. Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you, Mr. Gat and Natasha.
Yes, morning.
Beautiful program. I really look forward to you every Sunday, Mr. Gat. But don't worry, I'm working on that medal for you. Don't worry, you'll get it. So, but what we were talking about the indiscipline in the schools. You know, long time we used to get licks when we used to go to school, but things have changed, and the youth and them are very skillful and smart now, in the sense that they know the law because they say what they're telling you. They can't flog we again. They can't beat you again at school. So they take advantage of that situation. But you know, dialogue and communication. If the teacher stop calling the child as stupid, or dotish, and try to work with the child will get to understand that they're going to help them. And teachers have a way of calling you dotish and stupid. And the child will say, I stupid, all right, I will ask it over to you. And that is the problem we have today. For the bishop, you have made some nice examples, and you call our movie just now, The Church of Something.
Children of God, yes.
Yes.
The Church of God.
Children of God. Children of God.
The Children of God.
Yeah.
All right.
A dread movie.
I take a good look at it.
Yes.
You have a blessed day, and Mr. Gat and Natasha, don't worry yourself. You'll get that medal. Everything takes time.
God bless you. God bless you, my brother. God bless you. 622-3937. Good morning.
You're listening, my God?
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir.
One thing everybody fails to do in this country is to blame the judiciary. I don't know why. The police keep holding them. After going from the court put them back on the street. What's wrong with our judiciary in this country? They're all in the independent and we have to pay them. Or they have to come out and start to blame them for putting back criminal on the street. I gone.
No, well, I mean, it's we have the public. It is one thing I know. From Prime Minister come right down, spoke about that. So it's unfair to say that we have not been holding them accountable.
Yeah.
But if they can be held accountable, that's another story. But we have been speaking about it. Like I said, public officials have spoken about it too. The fact that
yes, it is
a
branch of government.
Yeah,
it's independent of political influence. So,
for instance, Natasha, if somebody is on remand,
hello,
and it's hold on one second, caller.
Okay.
If somebody is on remand for 5 years, then either throw out the charge or convict the person.
Correct.
But you shouldn't have someone sitting on remand for 15 years.
That is a violation of human.
Of course,
it's an injustice. Of course.
You know, by international standards, you know,
any standards.
By
you
any
can't
standards,
hold somebody without conviction or without trial for an inordinate amount of time. It is.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Gat and Natasha.
Morning.
What y'all are talking about there just now, a young man in Canada was on remand for more than 5 years. He took the state to court and he won, and his case was dismissed.
There you go.
What people have to do is take the state to court, because I mean, I don't know if you all could remember, a former prime minister said she was not supporting that bail bill because the police, I think it's the bail and the gun bill, but both of them, she refused to support it. She said the police will put guns in little black boy hands and set them up. So she was not signing it. Jayanti Lakshmi said the same thing. They're not supporting it. Years later, what did Kamala Prasad Bisesa told this nation? When they come in your house, empty the clip on the same little black boys. And she say also reload. So where we go in? Listen, that is what people need to do. Sue the state, you want to bet. Nobody go spend 5 years in prison. If one person take the state to court, we joking. Anyway, Natasha, what you said there is so true about this corporal punishment. A lot of parents feel licks is discipline.
Correct.
And they are so wrong. And I'm hearing a lot of them on this station calls in and say, I get plenty licks when I was small and they take kill me.
And you're damaged.
It take well, this is what it ain't kill them, but they are damaged.
Absolutely.
A lot of them, They turn out wife beaters. So don't come and talk about, I get plenty legs and they kill me. But what it did to you, let me tell you. I stood up one day out on the Diego Martin main road. I just park and ride. Right on the corner of Sardonyx and the main road.
Yes.
This guy with a little boy, a little 8-year-old boy. The boy, since he woke up to get transport the morning, the little boy license was untied. He walked from down in the Vale to on the main road. The little boy license untied. You know what that man did? Cuffed that boy in his head. I said, before I could listen, I was so mad. A man said, oh God, sir, that is what you could do the boy for before you
instead of tying the boy yeah, bend down and tie it.
I mean, boy, it was unbelievable. All I could say was, Jesus Christ. Yes, I say, my God. And a lot of parents take out their frustration.
Absolutely.
I don't know if he's a single parent or what. But your son, or grandson, I don't know who it is, because he was a big man. The boy listen and then you go cuff him in the head? Jeez, nah, man. Let me tell you, my father was from the old school. He didn't like, everything was licks. My brother used to get it the most. Licks. Man, it was the worst. When my brother started to go QRC, he started to misbehave. And I don't know how he didn't get expelled. The principal sent a letter, my brother him bringing it, and the principal decided, let me call him, and he called my father, and he told him how he misbehaved. That was in the 70s, eh? And Lex, you know what, after my mother said to my father, she said, in them days, my father would have get charged for child abuse. My mother said, but you notice, you're beating him and he keep doing the same thing.
Yes.
She said the lick's not working.
Thank you very much.
My mother took control, and you know what she started to do? She started to put down punishment. When buzzer time, he not go in. We go into the buzzer, he crying long tears, and my sister and I say, oh God, mommy, let him go down. She said, no. You know what my brother said? Oh God, I did prefer the licks this wear off. I say, well, the punishment was more effective.
Absolutely.
And my brother made that turn around, but no, everything, beat, and they feel that go solve it. Nonsense. Y'all have a blessed day. Thank you for the program.
And I have a similar, I saw something similar a few years ago. Maybe a 2 or 3-year-old toddler and his father. He had a glass bottle of malt in his hand. Dropped the bottle. And you wouldn't believe what this man, this adult, was saying to this child on Independence Square in Port of Spain. Abusing this child because he dropped a glass bottle. Why would you give a toddler, a glass bottle to hold in the first place?
Yeah.
You know, and this kind of way we treat children in this country is really upsetting a lot of the times.
Let's take the call. 6223. His Grace is listening to you all, so you can still address him. And later on, they'll go back to the Facebook page and respond to you all. So keep dropping your comments. And thank you, Facebook, YouTube family, and I-95 for joining us this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Just on a loading video here. All right, so my thing is consequences, right? The issue with the young generation and the generation after and the generation before, because I heard you define the generations of what you were trying to identify just now. The issue with the generations now is that they don't understand consequences for the actions that they take, right? Because long time, I could recall, when you do something wrong, you would get a taste of the consequences for your actions. You were like that told, you were like that, well, I wouldn't go so much about the flogging, but you will have an understanding of the consequences of the actions that you take. That is what people need to understand, and it begins at home. It begins from the head, comes straight down. If you teach the child would understand. There is a scripture in the Bible says, train a child in the way that they would not depart from it. The parents and the leaders are departing from it, so they are not able to tell anyone about the consequences, and that is the issue that we are having today, right? Have a blessed day, people. That is all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
And here's what we're surrounded with now. We have alcohol advertising on TV again.
Mm-hmm.
Now we trying during prime time news.
Yes.
But yet, on the next hand, we're talking about the cancer-causing drink.
That alcohol contributes to cancer.
To cancer, seven types of cancer.
Correct.
But yet, our alcohol company or alcohol distillers are allowed to advertise. White talk, people whining when it pours you rain
and
all of these
sponsoring dancehall DJs,
What we really
alcohol
doing
brands,
here?
and contributing to.
But they won't talk to us.
No.
But you continue to, during the news where some families insist their children sit and listen to the news with them,
Mm-hmm.
you advertising alcohol.
Correct.
And are allowed to do it. Something is wrong with this picture.
Yes.
And I want to let you all know too as well. You see the vape pens? We've done our research.
Yes.
So we don't have to wait to do more research. Vaping is going to destroy your respiratory system.
Correct.
Pay attention as to how many people are sitting in their cars.
Yeah.
Yes.
Going dressed in their
Suits and yes.
nice shirts, and they're with this.
And pulling on this.
vaping in
Yeah.
With this.
Yeah.
Yes, with fogging the whole car.
Yeah.
And the whole road.
So folks,
with the smoke.
What people going through so much that.
we only have to tell them use it at your own risk. But we could tell you here, and you could do your own research as well.
Yes, just look it up.
There's a thing called popcorn lungs, and there are numerous stories. We've played some for you here on this radio program.
Yes.
Where people's lungs collapsed on them from vaping.
Correct. Because we still don't know the device that is in the vapor, and we still don't understand how it works and how it translates the liquid that is in it, how it affects the human body. We don't understand it yet. All we know is that it's supposed to be a smoking cessation device, but there are many people who have suffered severe health consequences as a result of using it. And the fact that it is available to all and sundry, regardless of age, in this country, you could go in any gas station, quick shop, and buy one. There are vape shops popping up all over the place.
Yeah. There's one right in the west there opposite a supermarket, big bright, and the lights is brightest I've ever seen on these shops. They are available to our children, ladies and gentlemen.
And they can be altered with cannabis as well.
That's right.
Right?
So, folks, it is up to you to go and buy it. It's up to you to let a child buy it or buy it for your child. All we letting you know here, we've done our research, and it can be harmful to your health.
Just as harmful, if not more, than actual cigarettes.
Because it produces 20 times more smoke than a normal cigarette. And I think that is the fascination for some people too, the amount of smoke that could bellow out of your mouth when you pull on this device.
Yeah.
Folks, it is dangerous. We've done our research and we brought it to you years ago, and we maintain that position. You make the choice for yourself, all right? But we will continue to do what we have been mandated to do, educate you. I want to say good morning to Harvey Boris too as well. Remember to join Harvey.
Morning, Uncle Harvey.
Every Sunday, he has the hot seat on Synergy, and of course he's here on a Wednesday in the evening time. So he too raises these issues ever so often, and I still am hurt. I'm very, very hurt, Trinidad and Tobago, that the people who claim and call on the government all the time to help do something about crime and do this, they are sitting back and contributing to it.
Absolutely.
Alcohol is a drug. Do your research. Any mood or mind-altering substance is a drug. Look at bars, look at parties, look at fairs, wherever alcohol being consumed, most of the time fights happen at some point.
Yep.
And the fight is so vicious. And try as we may to get this institution to come on board with us so we could do our part to educate. Go ahead, we're not trying to shut down
because we can't.
We can't. We're not trying to stop no drug pusher from pushing drugs. No, we can't.
We can't.
But there are fallout from it. And this is what we like you to identify. So by putting up a swing and a park for people and giving them scholarships and all kind of thing, drug pushers on the block do that.
By empowering men through your eyes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
No. You need to educate them to and let them know that the drug you are selling is also harmful to health. And this is why I've been calling on you to do that. So, yes, there are those who will drink. Balance it. Balance it with education. And I don't know what to say again for you to understand the product that you are selling is a drug. It's legal, but it's still a drug. Understand this. And the pusher on the block, he will throw Christmas treat and give children all the Christmas toys and everything. They love him too bad. But what he's selling is still a drug, destroying the very community that he's living in.
Correct.
There are fallouts from it, and we are here for that. That's all. All right? Let's go back to the line 6223937. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
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 Morning, to the panel. One question I'd like to ask. Vision and mission you all plant?
Say again?
Say again?
As vision and mission you all do planting?
No, this is not, this is Dependency, so
I
another
Dependency.
NGO, Vision and Mission. But they do planting at Vision and Mission. Yes, they do.
Okay, right. One more question I want to put in. I mean, say it's talking about the drugs, the cancer, and the drug this and drug the thing. Everything in Trinidad and Tobago right now in the world gives cancer. Because the population of growth of feeding the people in Trinidad and Tobago in the world, they use chemicals, and as they use chemicals, that is chemical put into you to think to cry. You know, we no longer grow tobacco in Trinidad and Tobago, we import it, and all those things coming in with chemical and all kind of thing like that. Most of the things come imported, they can't fix it and pesticide and thing in it. So we eating pesticides food and things, so that's why give cancer. The drugs are giving us and all kind of thing is the same thing. If you put thing in it, I mean say alcohol is one, cigarette is one, them thing is one. Them things are listed all the time, right? But my forefathers didn't smoke, but they didn't just smoke cigarettes, they smoked tobacco. It's no longer available, and I mean, when it comes tobacco in a pack now, it is infested with pesticide because the way they grow it, because of the market. You understand me? Sorry I had to interrupt you to our program, but you have a blessed day.
You too. Shortman, put up image H, please. There's a walk this afternoon. We want to share with you all, those of you who can join it, Sisters Calling Awareness Walk. And it's a domestic violence walk in support of survivors and so on. And you can see it up on your screen here now. We're going to share the images with you so that if you have time this afternoon. Huh?
The 9th of February.
It's February?
Yes.
Lord, what's going on with me? Let me put on my glasses. No, I have on
Sunday,
my
the 9th
glasses.
of February. Sisters Calling, which is
Yes.
It's a Toronto-based organization which also has a branch in Trinidad and Tobago. So in collaboration with the Arima Community Center, they're having a Violence Against Women and Girls Awareness Walk Run on Sunday, the 9th of February at 4 p.m. And they say, join us as we raise awareness about violence against women and girls. Let us work together to shed light on this issue in honor of victims and survivors. The walk/run will start and end at Arima Catholic Church at 3 Anglican Street in Arima at 4 p.m. And for more details, you can contact 360-8342.
Right. So, folks, put back your running shoes in the cupboard. I forgot. It's February. So, we have some more time to advertise it, right? So, so Sunday, 9 February, Sisters Calling with the Arima community.
Yes.
Awareness walk.
And
run.
we will remind you again.
We remind you again as we get closer to it. Shortman, play. Now, let me just show off with you all a minute before we wrap up here this morning. This is something my country may not recognize about Natasha and I. But it's so nice when you hear the foreigners say it.
The white people say
and
it.
Well,
say it
yes.
big.
And you all know we have a prison radio, and I was asked His Grace if he would probably take a Sunday or sometime and go up to the prison radio station at maximum security prison.
Oh, yes.
Now,
they would love to hear him.
Yes, I would love to hear him go up there and deliver a sermon to the ones inside there. These are the places too we would like them to go.
Yeah.
You know, but you all know that Natasha and I responsible for that radio station at the maximum security prison. We saw it. We raised it, and it was accepted. Now we have a radio station there. But I want you to hear this. Now I'm a member of the advisory board of Prison Radio International. And when they say international, they mean that. We have radio stations in prisons in Norway, Switzerland, Israel, you name it, there are radio stations, and they are running
India, Australia, Chile,
right,
Argentina,
yes,
Mexico.
I'm
Canada,
the only.
Everywhere.
Every time I go to a meeting, I feel like a raisin on top of coconut ice cream. Well, laughing, this is the truth. Because I'm the only black person. I feel like a raisin on top of coconut ice
Only
cream.
visual. Oh.
Yeah. But listen to what Phil had to say, because I was doubting myself. And Trinidad and Jamaica can make you doubt yourself, eh?
Yes.
The way we treat it sometimes.
That's true.
But listen to what Phil had to tell me when I started aloud doubting myself. Here's what he had to say, Trinidad and Tobago, what you all don't know about Garth and Natasha, or me. Here's what he had to say. This was at a meeting.
I was talking the other day to Ruth about all of the people on the advisory board, and I said I think the person that we're most honoured to have on this advisory board is you, Garth, because you're the only person I know in the world that has spent time in prison and has been the founder of a prison radio station. You're the only person who's done that in the world. So if anybody deserves their place on the advisory board, out of any of us, Garth, it's you. Okay.
Play it one more time for them to hear. Short man.
I was talking the other day to Ruth about all of the people on the advisory board, and I said I think the person that we're most honoured to have on this advisory board is you, Garth, because you're the only person I know in the world that has spent time in prison and has been the founder of a prison radio station. You're the only person who's done that in the world. So if anybody deserves their place on the advisory board, out of any of us, Garth, it's you. Okay.
Right. Now imagine a total stranger. Well, he's not a stranger to us because that's Phil Maguire. Phil and Andrew came down here and helped us, present prison radio to the government then, and it was accepted and now. But it felt good to hear Phil say that to me because I've created history as far as he said.
Yes.
You think you all understand that? Like the callers who would call the fella afterwards and complain about things that we're not doing. You think you all understand the person you all have in your midst as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago? I don't think so. So
you have to roll in certain circles in order to be recognized here, especially to get a national award, And
Natasha,
like
just go back to the lines,
away.
please. Leave that alone. Okay?
They're giving away these
because
days.
I wasn't thinking about national award when we started this.
I know that.
Right? And that is okay. But I'm recognized for what we did, and I thank Phil Maguire and Ruth and all of these people.
Indeed.
Like I said, I'm the only African person on this advisory board. And they thought that I was well apt to be placed there. Thank you very much, guys. Hello, good morning.
Mr. and Mrs.
Hey, long time no hear you. What's happening?
Happy New Year. Let me tell you, don't because all you hear me often that I go nowhere. I ain't going nowhere now.
Very good. Stay right there.
Right here.
All right.
Planted. And two are the best. So I just wishing all you the best to continue because you all have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do.
We do.
All right. All right,
Yeah.
Yvonne.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Right. We take one more because we have Daily Knock in studio here. Hello. Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Morning.
Morning. Is this Gata Natasha?
You're live on
Yes,
the air.
it
Yes,
is.
ma'am.
Oh, it's so good that I got through to you all. First time I'm calling.
Thank you
Wonderful
for calling.
program.
Thank you.
And having on the Archbishop there. Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Are you hearing me?
He's listening to
He's
you.
listening.
Yes.
He's not
yes.
in studio, but he's listening.
Yes, what he said was so wonderful. I agree with almost everything he said, except the part where he is saying that the rod was not really to beat this physical, but just for punishment. It was a two-way thing because the scripture actually said that withhold not correction from the child for If thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die. Thou shalt beat him with the rod and shall deliver his soul from hell. But you see, folks are mixing up abuse and the corporal punishment.
Yes.
That should be the lowest wrong that he has put it, the Archbishop, in it. Yeah. There should be those different stages of discipline, and the rod should be the last thing. And when it is administered, it shouldn't be abuse. It shouldn't be pot spoon flying and milk tin flying and hitting the child. No.
Exactly.
And same thing for in the school. Somewhere teachers may have abused children. That is what has caused the problem in that early 2000 when they stopped corporal punishment in the school, and the children has now become the ones that are beating the teachers, and the teachers have lost themselves also.
We got to go, Kola. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for this program.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Do not throw out the corporal punishment. It must be administered properly.
No, ma'am, no. No, we're not accepting that. No. Violence is violence. Sorry. We spoke at length about the rights of the child. A child has a right to be free from abuse and violence. Beating a child is violence. End of text.
We have major news up next with Mr. Dale Enoch. Hi, Dale. Take care, folks. Have a great week.
Good afternoon.
Be safe out there. Good afternoon.